Okay, good morning, good afternoon, and good night. I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. We have a special guest with us. Once again, we have Doug Lawrence. He's the author of You Are Not Alone and also the creator of Talent. Is it CA or CO, the website?
Talent.ca.
Talent.ca. So, Doug, how have you been, man? How are you?
I'm doing okay. It's still going through the grieving process and dealing with that, which has its good days and bad days as can be imagined. But yeah, doing all right.
Okay. So tell me this. What was the major push to write You Are Not Alone? Like what was that whole thought process for
Uh,
you? Excuse me.
yeah, it was primarily there was a bit of a push from some of my colleagues who said that you're working with people who are struggling with mental health, who are having a difficult time with their healing journey, and you seem to have a technique or whatever that works well. So, uh, you know, why don't you write a book about it? Why don't you share your lived experience? And so that's what I started to do, and here we are now with You Are Not Alone has number one bestseller from Amazon. It was the bronze recipient of the Global Book Awards. So some lots of good things have happened as a result of the book. Uh, so yeah, that's what kind of got me going.
So when you share your stories, like how does that make you feel when you have the chance to share your personal stories?
At first, when I first started doing it, I was really apprehensive, sort of wanting to keep everything, within sort of that inner circle of myself and maybe two or three others. But what I found was that it became extremely therapeutic and helped me deal with a lot of different things that I was struggling with, I guess, at best. And that was what gave me the opportunity to be able to deal with those.
Well, you talk about struggling. Was there a challenge for you when writing this book? Like what kind of challenges did you face?
Well, my arch nemesis is procrastination, and what I ended up having to do in order to make sure that I devoted the time that I needed to devote to the book was I actually had to schedule in my calendar writing time and research time and be able to do it that way. And I've got another book that's kind of in the hopper, so to speak. And what I ended up doing with that one was I ended up going away for a week and secluding myself away from everybody else so that I could focus just on getting the book started.
Okay, so on your website, talent.ca, do you have like some type of mentor meetings or like a community rally town hall type of deal going on? Can you tell me a little bit more about your website?
Yeah, the website is very much speaks to the community of mentoring as far as wanting to engage as many people as possible in the mentoring process and sharing those. And so to further that along, I actually host and facilitate what we call a mentoring circle. And the mentoring circle, the idea behind that is that people will come with issues or challenges that they're dealing with, and that they will, they'll openly start to talk about what some of those challenges are. And we have this group of people that are sort of analyzing or discussing, I guess is probably a more appropriate term, what the problem is and kind of go from there. So the circle is kind of follows along the traditions of the indigenous people who have had healing circles and things like that. And that was kind of where I got the idea behind all of this to be able to put something into place that's going to help people with their healing journey, and that's what we did with the mentoring circle.
Okay, in that mentoring circle, is it like a stepping process? Like what's the protocol to getting started?
Well, it usually starts out where you come to the mentoring circle as somebody who quite possibly knows very little about the mentoring process, and you're just not sure. So the first step would be kind of come and kick the tires and sort of, get a sense of, you know, what's this all about, and is this the right thing for me? And then from there, it's actually engaging in the mentoring circle itself, and participating in the discussion and the dialogue that takes place. And then after that, it can be that, you've got a specific thing that happened in the workplace, on Thursday or Friday, and so you want to see, did I handle that correctly, or is there something better that I could have done? So you would bring that as a challenge to the people that are part of the mentoring circle, and they would go through that, and eventually you end up, continually working and getting more and more involved. And what ends up happening is you can then become someone who could facilitate the mentoring circle.
Got you. Is there a minimum age requirement? Like, how low do you go down?
Well, I can only go on the experience that we've had, and we've had, people that have been in their very early 20s. I haven't had anyone younger than that, and I think what I would be, actually, that's not true. I just remember now, we did have a mother-daughter combination where the daughter was probably in her teens, and she came and participated, and it was actually extremely uplifting, extremely beneficial to be able to actually see how someone who is so tender in years, how they think their way through some of these challenges. And now that I recall, I remember her actually having some very good ideas, stuff that us older folk may not have even thought of.
Right, right. Can you give me an example of a couple things that she thought about?
um, the only thing that kind of pops into my mind right off the top is the aspect of, you know, it would be somebody suggesting, so say somebody who's a baby boomer suggesting that in this particular type of a situation, this is the sort of behavior that I would be expecting. And the young person saying, and what's the benefit of you doing it that way when you could do it this other way, and you would get more input from the rest of the team and everything else? So something like that.
Yeah, yeah. So the younger crowd, they always seem to be a step or two ahead of us. As older as we think we are, they still know a little bit more than most of us, for the most part, especially when it comes down to social media. Are you doing any social media marketing? Are you doing pretty good with that?
We're doing not too bad. I have a mentor that that's her 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 specialty, and so I go to her for advice and guidance, and we kind of work our way through some different things. And that I I have to be truthfully honest. I'm not the most expedient individual when it comes to that, and I know I must frustrate the heck out of her, because I could just tell that she's wishing that I was maybe 20 years younger, because
Yeah,
I might pick things up a lot quicker. So,
yeah. So tell me this, in this whole project, from your website to your book, what is by far the most important thing you want people to get from this, not only from what you're doing in the community, but as a whole of what you're doing with your legacy and your journey?
the most important thing for me, that if people, as a takeaway from all of this, would be that, and I always keep going back to the mental health space, because that's where we need to have more attention and more focus. It would be that it's okay to um, ad- admit, for lack of a better choice of words, it's okay to say, I've got mental health challenges and I need help, and to reach out and ask for help. My legacy, I guess, or the one thing that I really truly would love to be able to see that's happened, is that anybody who wants help or who needs help gets help.
Right, right. Well, let's go ahead and tell everyone where they can find you on your website and social media.
Okay, so I you can find me on the website. or through the website, obviously, which is www.talentc, so the word talent, letters C on the end.ca. You can also reach out to me by email, um, and I have no problem with. So what you see on the screen, we need to
I
drop
need to
out.
change it. I
Yeah.
see it. Sorry about
Okay.
that.
That's okay. Um, with the email, send it to Doug.Lawrence, and that's Doug.Lawrence at TalentC, so the word talent, letters C on the end.ca, and I'll get back to you as quickly. That's perfect. I'll get back to you as quickly as I can. You can also find me on LinkedIn. I'm a fairly heavy user of LinkedIn, not quite as much with Twitter and Facebook, but I do push a lot of uh, information type things out. Like for example, I it was earlier this week. I think it was earlier this week where Perceptive X magazine recognized me as one of the 10 most exceptional business leaders to watch in 2022.
I
So
like
that
that.
yeah, so that that sort of thing was I kind of created something that I thought would work, and I pushed it out on Facebook, LinkedIn, and Twitter.
Okay. Well, I'm your host, Darshawn McAway. We're talking to Doug Lawrence. He's a mentor, author, and a speaker. He's talking to us about his company, TalentC.ca, and also his book, You Are Not Alone. Doug, it's always a pleasure to have you on. Um, it's nice to meet you too, man.
Yeah, well, thank you so much for this opportunity for you and I to have a conversation.
Right. We can always continue it anytime you want to, but I'll catch you guys next time around. See ya.